I don't have 24 books. Welcome back to the channel. I'm really sorry about the unmade bed. My cat is sleeping there, which means she has priority, so that bed is not getting made until she leaves. That's the rule. I really wanted to do the trend where everyone's doing the 24 books of 2024, like all their favourite reads, but I don't have that many books I absolutely loved. Although, to put it in perspective, I only actually started reading in May this year. And in that time I think I've read 70 something books. So let's find out how many of them are actually 5-star or 6-star. I know actually off the top of my head I only have one 6-star read. So let's find some books. You are currently propped up on my radiator because I've got one of the sticky things on the back of my phone, so you might fall down. Brace yourself. Stay. Oh my god, you're falling down already. I'm so sorry. God, this is chaos. Okay, I can't hold them all up, but I have 11 in total. A lot of these are from the same series, so I do apologise. I feel like I have to start with this one because it was the first series that I ever read. And to be honest, I don't know if this is still a 5-star, but my Goodreads says it is. The Twisted series was the first series I ever read. This was by far my favourite. Also, did anyone know that this is actually considered a dark romance? Same as Twisted Love. They're both considered dark romance because they have dark themes. So I know Twisted Love is considered a dark romance because and this is considered a dark romance because he does a bit of gentle stalking. This was simply my favourite. I'm trying to think back as to why I gave this a 5-star. I think it was mainly because of Stella. I think I resonated a lot with her. Obviously, she's an influencer. I never use that word on myself. I say content creator because influencer just sounds icky. But yeah, she is an influencer. She gets a lot of anxiety. Same girl, same. And I think I just fell in love with their relationship because of how Christian was with her. Like, I just think he was perfect. Like, he helped her so much in so many situations. And to be honest, I still think this might be a 5-star because when I think about it now, I literally don't have a bad word to say. To me, the Twisted series is Ana Huang's best work. I've read the Kings of Sin series. These are still my favourite. I just find these have a lot more depth to them, like with the characters, that like there's actually a lot of character and stuff about them that actually makes them interesting. You can tell how old she is because she's quite brown. I've just noticed a theme actually. All of my favourite reads, most of them anyway, are bigger. Like, they're longer books. And as much as I hate, like, I avoid picking up big books because I'm like, that's scary. But how long's this? 560 pages. That's quite a lot for just a, your run-of-the-mill romance book. But I just find when they're bigger, they're better. Pardon. And do you know what? I'm not opposed to a bit of gentle stalking. I would argue everything he did was necessary to keep her safe and protected. And I just love these two. I think they are soulmates. Do you know what? Upon reflection, I might have to reread it again actually. See what I think now. But right now it's still a 5-star. You're slanting again. I'm so sorry. Next, we have Heartless. Elsie Silver Chestnut Spring series. Actually, while we're here, let's just do the other one, shall we? Now, these are both 5 stars to me. However, I prefer this one. So maybe this is like, I don't know, 5.5 stars. These will forever be my favourite out of the Chestnut Spring series. Theo and Cade, no one will top them in my eyes. No one. Theo is forever on my mind. I do think about him daily. Not just the men, but the women in these 2 books. Again, they had something about them. Like Willa, I love that woman. I love that woman so much. If Cade wouldn't have her, I would. Winter, in like all the other books, you think she's horrible. You think she's evil and the horrible sister. And then you actually get to her and you just realise she's just a girl. She's just a girl. This has the accidental pregnancy trope in it, okay? I don't like that. This was 5 stars. The way it was written is just so good. I think it was just like seeing him, how he stepped up for the baby, how he provided, how he just took charge. Like, it was just, I have nothing to improve on this. And if you haven't read this series yet, I would highly recommend it, especially if you're seeing this and thinking, oh, accidental pregnancy, don't want to read that. No, trust me. Trust me. And it broke my heart reading this without telling you any spoilers. How am I going to word this? Basically, as soon as he realised that he was having a baby, or, you know, he was about to become a dad. Oh, he's yeah. I think this might be some daddy issues. I think some daddy issues are leaking into this one. I loved it either way. Willa is probably the feistiest FMC. Why did that feel so hard to say? FMC that I think I've ever met. Cade, again, also I think my daddy issues might be showing. But he was simply perfection. Power couple. This is a power couple. I did like all the other ones in the series, but these just stood out. Actually saying that, I wasn't too keen on Hopeless. I found it was a little bit cringy, like the age gap and the fact that she just kept talking about the fact that she was a virgin, like constantly. I was like, oh my God, we get it. We get it. I still think I rate it 3.5 stars. But these ones, superior. Okay, we've then got one which really, really surprised me. Icebreaker. I had this on my TBR for literally months, and I was putting it off because I kept seeing all bad reviews basically saying it's awful writing, it's all smut, no plot. And don't get me wrong, there is not a lot of plot in this. However, the characters. I loved Anastasia. I loved her character. I just felt like I was in her mind when I was reading this, and I could really resonate. I've struggled with eating disorders before. I don't know if that might be why I loved it so much. I say I struggled with eating disorders, but I'm a firm believer that once you have an eating disorder, your mindset never like returns. And I think when I was watching this, when I was reading this, you could kind of see it develop. Like it hadn't gotten out of control yet, but it was on its way there. And when Nate picked up on it, it was like, I don't know, it kind of made me sad because I just thought, oh, if everyone had that, if everyone who was struggling with an eating disorder or disordered eating, if they had someone there to like pick up on the signs and go about it the right way, I just think how many people it would heal. I think that's why I loved it so much. Like, don't get me wrong, I can't tell you what happens. I just remember reading about it and thinking, oh my God, I relate to this. Oh my God, I relate to this. Oh my God, I relate to this. That is why it's a 5-star for me. Just their relationship to me was, I loved it. I loved it. This was a book I was really expecting to hate. But to be honest, all the books, I gave Wildfire 4.5 and then I also gave Daydream 4.5. I love this whole series so much. I feel like it's a lot about the characters and their issues and mental health. Like, it was just, there's not a lot going on in any of the books, but you just learn about the characters and all of the individual issues that they have. Love that. Like, as much as I love a good plot, I love character depth. And to me, these books had that. I feel like this is a given. Court of Mist and Fury, second book in the ACOTAR series. Like, I don't even need to give an explanation on this one. This, when I was reading it, I felt like I was in this world. I felt like I was in Valaris. I felt like I was with Rhysand and Feyre, and I was living it. I was there. I was stood in the background, like, just with them all. I am a chapter 54 girly rather than a chapter 55 girly. However, I do love both. I am currently reading the Throne of Glass series and I haven't had a 5-star read yet. I've read 3 of them. So I've read Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, and Crown of Midnight. I'm on Heir of Fire at the minute and still none of them have been 5 stars. This is a 5-star. Although A Court of Wings and Ruin is 4.5 star. That was close. That was so close. But I think it was the romance in this that did it for me. I think if you like the action and the war, the plot, blah, 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 I think A Court of Wings and Ruin is probably your favourite. If you're more of a romance girly, this will be your favourite. Also really, I want to say I really enjoyed reading about Rhysand and his trauma. That sounds really dark. I like learning about it. Like, everyone makes out that he's the villain. And I know that was how it was intended in the first ACOTAR. Like, Sarah J Maas, she wanted him to come across evil and mean, but he's not. He's just a guy who had some horrible shit happen to him. Feyre and Rhysand will forever have my heart, and I miss them. I miss them every day. As soon as I got into A Court of Frost and Starlight, I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I want Feyre and Rhysand back. Oh, my toes are hurting sat like this. Should I get down lower? Let's get down lower. Oh, that's better. Okay, again, part of a series, so I'm going to talk about them all in one go. was cinematic, wasn't it? Binding 13, Keeping 13, and Redeeming 6. This is actually the one and only 6-star read. So we'll talk about these first. When I heard this was about like school kids, I didn't want to read it. I did not want to read it. Oh, and also, remember what I said earlier about all of these books? I like them because they're big, they're long. I didn't want to read these because they were so big. I was like, no, I can't commit to that. And also the writing is tiny. Yeah, because it was about school kids, I was like, I can't read about that. Like, I think she starts off as 15. He starts off as 16, about to turn 17, I think. But the way this is written, like this is set in Ireland, and I don't know if it makes a difference because it's not in America and it's not like college and parties, frat boys, like stuff like that. Like these were just written so amazingly. However, my one complaint, and this is not with the books, this is about TikTok advertisement and book talk, is everyone just talks about these being romance books. Now, if you haven't read these, I'm here to tell you right now, okay, they are romance books, but they are trauma. They are trauma books, okay? This whole series, all trauma. There are trigger warnings, it's upsetting, you will cry. Now, I am someone who loves trauma. I am addicted to it. I will most likely always read a book if there is some sort of trauma. Cried at this one, cried at this one. And again, I felt like I was in the books. I felt like I was there witnessing it. It wasn't like I was being told a story, you know, it felt like I was in the story. This is my Roman Empire series. It is hands down my favourite series of all time. Yeah, ACOTAR is next. But all the topics that are spoken about in these books just hit home. And like I said, I just love trauma. I love trauma books. So these ones are about Shannon and Johnny, hence Binding 13, Keeping 13. 13 is Johnny. And this one is Joey. So he's also got 2 books, Redeeming 6 and Saving 6. Saving 6, I did really like. It just found it got a bit tedious, but it was necessary to kind of get to grips with, you know, his history, his home life, everything that happened prior. So his book is about everything that happened in the past. This is what's happening right now. So everything that's happening in this book is happening in this one as well. You just get Joey's side of it. Joey is Shannon's brother. If you've read this, you'll know. Also, this looks like a small book, okay? Well, not a small book, but it looks smaller than those ones. But the paper on these is like the wafer thin paper. This is actually 930 pages long. And I would not want it to be any shorter. Everything in this was completely necessary. This book, I genuinely cried for about a week after, again, because I related to it. Everything that Joey was going through, obviously not exactly the same. It feels like, when you read like a trauma book, it feels like you're being heard by someone. It is like a form of therapy. It's like, it feels like you're reading something and it's just a reminder that you're not alone. People are also having a fucking shit time. And I don't know, it just feels like you're sharing trauma with someone. I don't know if anyone else gets like that or if that's just a me thing. This is a 6-star, like the feelings that I felt during this, like, it's like no other. If you haven't read the Boys of Tommen series, oh my God, please do it. I know it's scary, but just one book at a time, Like, I will admit, they are huge. They are. Oh, you can actually see there the difference between the papers. But this is the biggest book. This is a book that I would reread simply just to get my emotions out. Like, if I need to cry, if I need to like actual feel pain, I would reread this. I haven't reread it yet because I don't know if I can go through all that trauma again. Okay, the next one, Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. This is a dark romance, but it didn't feel like a dark romance. Like, it's not what you're thinking. I think dark romance is a really broad term. And I don't want anyone to see this and think, oh, dark romance, I don't like dark romance, I'm not going to read that. It has dark themes, but the romance itself is not dark. So she basically is out at her sister's birthday party. Her sister is with this guy called Dean. They've been together forever. And that night, Cora, the main character, gets kidnapped with her sister's fiance, Dean. It's basically everything Again, I don't want to give too much away. They're basically kidnapped. They go through some horrible things together. Horrible, horrible things. They have to basically figure out how to live with that trauma after it's happened. Obviously, they've been through the same thing. Like, they were both there. They were both kidnapped. It's basically like how to live with trauma, how to cope, how different people cope. I seem to have a thing where I love reading about trauma. I do. It is probably one of my favourite things to read. Next to romantasy, because, you know, gotta mix it up. I've just realised this is the only book that I've actually explained, like, the plot. Should I have explained the plot in the other ones? Nah. I'm only explaining this one because I feel like this is one that's not overly popular on BookTok. I feel like all the other ones you probably would have heard of. And if you read it, you'll know why this is called Still Beating. It's not a spoiler if I tell you, but it takes the awe out of it if I tell you what the Still Beating means. But this is also a book I would recommend if you're new to dark romance and you don't want to dive into something like Little Stranger or Haunting Adeline or something, because this is not like that. This is not like that at all. It's just dark themes. So if you're new to dark romance, definitely give this one a go. Okay, as we're on the topic of dark romance, I think this is the only one out of all of them where I can just, like, there's nothing deep to talk about in this. This was just the best time. The best time. Again, this is a dark romance. He's a stalker, but he's funny as fuck. He is absolutely hilarious. And if you haven't read it yet, listen to it on audiobook. I promise you, you will not regret it. Okay, so quick little backstory. She is basically a nurse. She is dating this guy. They end up splitting up. But this guy has a roommate. We'll come back to that later. She likes to do this thing after work where she scrolls on TikTok and she sees masked men. One man in particular. And he basically does these thirst traps. And she loves it. She loves it. And she has these fantasies of him basically coming into her house and stalking her and wearing this mask. It is later to be discovered that the roommate of her ex-boyfriend is Josh, the masked man that she loves on TikTok. So, you know, there's a little bit of stalking. But again, she loves it. All consensual, apart from the first time, but she ended up loving it. The stalking, by the way, not the intercourse. That's all consensual, so if you're worried about that, don't worry about that. Josh is a gentleman. He's a stalker, gentleman, golden retriever, cinnamon roll. My favourite. I am so excited for the second one of this. You have no idea. Again, if you're new to dark romance, this. Because I do like dark romance, but I like baby dark romance, if that's how I would describe it. Like, I don't really like the consensual, non-consensual stuff. I'm not about that. No judgment if you are, let's make that clear. But it's not my fave. Okay, last but not least, the Mind F series. Again, this is a dark romance. I feel like I've gone on a dark romance tangent. But again, this is why I get annoyed at how dark romance is advertised, because everyone thinks it is really dark. This is just a thriller. I don't understand. Oh, hello. Okay, good night. Yeah, I don't understand how this is a dark romance, but everyone says it is, so I feel like I have to tell you it is. This is basically all about, she has had a very, very traumatic childhood growing up. Once again, she has had some awful things happen to her. And she sets out on a plan to get revenge. All right? Now, this isn't just a little bit of revenge. This is vengeance. And again, I don't know if it's just a dark romance because it has dark themes. Like, there's clearly that going on. Yeah, lots of that. This is the definition of female rage in a book, okay? And she is a serial killer. She's a serial killer after vengeance. And guess who she starts dating? The FBI agent working on her case. Yeah. So there is romance in it. But again, the romance is not dark at all. At all. Don't let the genre dark romance scare you, because it's stuff like this that's called dark romance, and I don't understand why. So Lana, that's her name, by the way, you end up falling in love with her. And you support everything she does. She's a serial killer, and you may be listening to that right now going, why the hell would you support that? Oh, you do. Oh, you do. And she gets her revenge in the best ways possible, okay? She doesn't half-ass anything. And you know what makes me really sad is the author actually passed away in, I think it was 2019. And she'll never know how much we love this book. That makes me really sad. That's why I had to get this copy. This is from Amazon, by the way. I know a lot of people are selling them on eBay, but they are fakes, okay? They are fakes. Do not get them. This is expensive. I think this was £35, but it is worth it to get the real deal. I hate the idea of random people profiting off this woman and her work. And you could just get the eBay one just as a trophy, but I would definitely recommend just get the real one. Get the real one. I mean, this is definitely more of a thriller and a romance rather than a dark romance. There are 5 books in this series, but they're all like individual little novellas. They're like all 100 and something pages each. If you read it on Kindle, because it is on Kindle Unlimited, they're 5 individual books. But if you buy the book, it comes as just one big book. But it is floppy. It's floppy. So it is still December, so I know I'm gonna read more books this month. So I might have another 5-star read, but I don't have 24. I have 11. I have 11 5-star reads. Actually, 10 5-star, 1 6-star. I would say I am quite hard to please when it comes to 5-star reviews. Like, if I don't get that like instant feeling, it's 4.5. I could love it, absolutely love it, but if I don't get that feeling, like, I can't explain it. It is just a feeling. 5 stars is just a feeling. I don't think 11 out of 70 something is that bad. I feel like I was quite generous, actually. Do you know what's nuts? When I first started reading just the Twisted series, I was thinking, oh, what am I gonna read after this? I have no idea, like, what books are good or not. And then I went on to Book Talk, and then I joined, and then I started, and then it started off by being like, that's the only book series I want to read. And then suddenly, well, you know what happens. I now have a full bookshelf of all the books that I've read, and then a TBR cart that is just loaded to the brim. So I do have lots of books and lots of book series that I do want to read in 2025. Oh my god, 2025! Oh my god, it's so scary. Why is life going so quick? If you have read any of the books that I've just mentioned, let me know, and let me know what you rated them as well. And if you haven't, please read them. Although if you don't like any of them, please don't hate me. We all have different tastes, okay? Okay, we can give my phone a break now. Love you, bye!